Yo, YouTube. Today we're back with a reaction video, man. Today we're reacting to something that a friend recommended me. Disturbing cult still hiding on YouTube today. That was pretty interesting. I wanted to upload it to the channel, so here we are. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we get into it.
Leonardo da Vinci, I see him.
I see him also.
Hi.
Oh, you're joining
What
a
are
cult?
they talking about?
Well, yeah, but it's the cult I want to be part of. This cult's awesome.
I think these kinds of classes help a lot of people, and there's not usually anything wrong with them, but unfortunately this one happens to be a full-fledged cult.
Millions of people stumbled
Vinci?
across these YouTube channels searching for peace, purpose, or a way out of pain. But what they got sucked into is much darker. One cult claimed that a pill could turn people into gods. Another group bowed and kissed their leader's feet. And one case got so disturbing that viewers launched a real-life rescue mission to save someone they'd never met. These are disturbing cults still hiding on YouTube today. As usual, the goal, guys, is 2.5 million subscribers by the end of 2026. It is crazy, so it would mean the world if you subscribe, and I will do my very best to put out the best videos I possibly can for you. I'm Visual Venture and you are awesome. The Trinfinity Academy. There's a YouTube video titled "A Cult Leader Claims He Can Change the Weather." It talks about a man named Bentinho Massaro. He was accused of turning a YouTube channel into a cult. Things became more serious when one of his followers lost their life. Police even reviewed Bentinho's spiritual teachings during their investigation. Here's how it unfolded. When Bentinho was 18, he traveled to India to study yoga and meditation. While he was there, he claimed he had a spiritual awakening. Years later, he created a YouTube channel to share his spiritual insights. He said his content was for people who wanted to know themselves at the deepest possible level and live a life of true fulfillment. He spoke directly to the camera and explained his spiritual ideas. But some of his claims stood out. For example, he once said he could control the weather with his mind.
Altering the weather is one fun, usually innocent example of how we can begin to explore some of that capacity. I've had, let's say, over 95% success with this one in particular.
Not everyone understood his teachings, but still felt compelled to keep following him.
That boy is trying to experience outer body experiences, bro. It's not how it works over here.
I couldn't understand a word he was saying. I just had a feeling to just go deeper, just keep going.
Bentinho's channel reached 150,000 subscribers. As his audience grew, he created more material. Bentinho launched the Trinfinity Academy. It was an online school that taught his philosophy in more detail. Thousands signed up. At its peak, Trinfinity Academy was allegedly bringing in $60,000 per month from member subscriptions alone. Bentinho also hosted retreats where followers could meet him in person. They were often full.
In fact, it's about giving up everything you have for the sake of the vision.
Bentinho was very influential, but his next move is what made people label him a cult leader. In late 2016, Bentinho made an announcement. He wanted to buy a large piece of land and build a city in Sedona, Arizona. It would be an enlightened society where his followers could live together. To begin, he moved into a house in Sedona. Some of his followers joined him, but Bentinho required absolute loyalty. Some followers signed NDAs for $100,000 or more. That meant they could not speak out without serious consequences. In Sedona, the group began sharing its message. Everything was going well, but things were about to spiral out of control.
A wave of all believe in the same stuff. This is kind of crazy though. Like, absolute loyalty, yeah, like, I'll be loyal to you, but like this
scandals and
NDA
controversies was coming,
bro.
and it would get so messy that Bentinho would be investigated by the police. In late 2017, a reporter joined Bentinho's group for a month. She was conducting an undercover investigation. She observed their daily life, documenting everything she saw and heard. Then she published a blog titled "Inside the Sedona Cult of Bentinho Massaro." It painted a disturbing picture. She called the group a legitimately dangerous, real-life 21st century cult. She also made other serious claims. She said Bentinho acted inappropriately with female members. She revealed that followers were put on extreme fasts. Some went days with nothing but grape juice. But Bentinho said it had to be done.
He claimed that as their bodies became lighter, their density would decrease, which meant they could enter into enlightened areas.
She also described how
or was he too broke to buy them food?
Sleep
Maybe
was
that's
controlled.
how you really think though. That's
He thought they should break up their sleep into shorter time periods. So not only were they failing to eat well, they were failing to sleep properly.
Thousands read it, but the bad press didn't stop Bentinho. Soon after, he hosted a retreat called the Sedona Experiment 2. Over 150 people attended. They came to listen and ask questions. Attendees brought up the accusations from the article, including claims that the group was a cult. Surprisingly, Bentinho did not deny it.
During this questioning, he says, quote, like, okay, great, yeah, we're a cult. It doesn't change what we are. If you want to call that a cult, go ahead.
Eventually, he accepted the cult label by redefining it.
I don't really have a definition of cult, but you could break it down as curious and unconditionally loving tribe. CULT.
The attendees accepted his explanation. The retreat was going smoothly. However, it would end in tragedy. One attendee named Brent Wilkins left the retreat early. Brent was one of the most devoted members. After he left, no one saw him alive again. A few days later, Brent was found lifeless at the bottom of a cliff. Police identified him using his tag from the event. It was unclear what happened, so the police opened an investigation. As part of the research, officers reviewed footage from the cult. They found clips of Bentinho making alarming comments about life. Some of these teachings could push people in a dangerous direction. Police wondered if these ideas played a role in what happened to Brent. So investigators questioned Bentinho about the clips, but he denied any responsibility. Bentinho said he was exaggerating for effect and wasn't serious. Brent's parents saw it differently. They blamed Bentinho's extreme teachings for what happened to their son. No charges were filed against Bentinho, but the incident, along with the article, brought negative publicity. Soon after, Bentinho...
I'm confused on how Bentinho played a part in this dude dying.
Transferred his operations out of Sedona. Reports say he moved out of the United States and returned to Holland. For a while, things were quiet, but the story was not over. In February 2022, another scandal surfaced. 3 high-ranking members left the group. They each posted statements on Instagram sharing how they became followers and finally broke free. And they accused Bentinho of mistreating followers. By speaking out, they broke their NDAs, but they didn't care. They wanted the world to know what happened inside the group. Despite all the bad press, the cult is still operating. Bentinho continues to share teachings via social media, and his Trinfinity Academy website is still live as of today, offering courses to people looking for meaning. The person in our next chapter believed she was sent to Earth by aliens, and somehow people believed her. Unicult. Unicult is a YouTube channel with nearly 3,000 subscribers, but it's no accident that they have the word cult in their name. The channel is linked to an unsettling group also called Unicult. They claim to be the religion of the future, and once you hear what they believe, it becomes hard to ignore. On their website, the group says they are dedicated to the promotion of joy. In interviews, they describe themselves as a communal framework for promoting joy. They repeat the word joy again and again, but that message of joy came from a dark past. The founder, Nicole, grew up in a small town in Colorado. In college, she struggled with deep emotional issues. It was overwhelming. So Nicole says she changed the way she viewed life.
Wow.
The way I feel.
Very interesting.
All the social narratives and conventions, they weren't serving me and they weren't making me happy. And not only that, but they weren't ever going to.
Nicole stopped following societal norms, so she started going by the name Unicult Unicron. She also claimed that she was an alien consciousness born into a human body.
Unicult is something called a starseed, placed here on Earth by a group of space beings called Arcturians in order to empower others to find joy.
That's when she founded Unicult in 2012. She shared her ideas on YouTube, and today the Unicult channel has nearly 1,000 videos.
Hello, beloveds. Thank you for joining me for Cam Church. My name is Unicult Unicron. It is my honor to have your attention.
The videos explain various spiritual concepts. One of Unicult's core beliefs is belief makes real. This means if you believe something hard enough, it becomes your reality. The message resonated with many viewers, but joining Unicult required more than belief. There was a process. At one point, joining involved filling out a paper application you buy for $11.11 on Etsy. And according to reports from Vice, some members provided a drop of their blood for an initiation contract. Those who did this joined a private inner circle. They were promised access to secret knowledge. It's unclear how many members Unicult has, but the ones who speak publicly seem satisfied.
I've always felt like I've never really belonged to any certain group or really related to many people. Being in this space, it's truly a blessing.
When asked which type of people join Unicult, the founder put it this way: the outcasts are generally the people who end up in Unicult because society doesn't look after them, so they're more ready to change the world. No one is rejected. On the surface, Unicult looks welcoming and positive, but not everyone sees it that way. Unicult openly seems to call itself a cult based on their name, and many people feel uncomfortable about this. But Unicult Unicron had a specific reason for using that term.
It's a barrier to entry. People who say, oh, I'm not going to join a cult, cults are bad, and they don't think deeper about it, they aren't ready for Unicult.
In other words, if the name scared you away, you were not meant to join. Unicult Unicron proudly calls herself a pop star cult leader, but many people clearly go against some of her claims, including the idea that she was an alien sent to Earth to spread joy. The criticism continued for years. Then in 2018, Unicult did something that made headlines for all the wrong reasons. They tried to launch a creepy project involving robots. Unicult launched a crowdfunding campaign called Eve's Robot Dreams. They wanted to build what they called the first consent-focused robot brothel in the world. Customers would spend 30 minutes talking to a robot. Only after that could anything else happen. The idea was that the robot had to give consent before intimacy was taken further. Unicult tried to raise $155,000, but the crowdfunding failed. It raised less than $3,000. That was only about 1% of the target. The project never happened. Still, the story went viral. News outlets picked it up, and their report seemed to mock the group. However, Unicult ignored the backlash. This controversy became old news, and to this day, Unicult is still operating. Some members of this next group lost their lives, and the victims' families blame its leader. Actualize.org. This so-called cult believes an illegal substance is one of the fastest ways to experience God. And outsiders say that message is putting lives at risk. But it wasn't always like this. It started as a self-improvement channel on YouTube, and the man behind it was Leo Gura. In 2012, Leo Gura started a YouTube channel called Actualize.org. He posted videos about confidence, positivity, and self-acceptance. He said the goal was to help people improve their lives.
I'm not telling you just to accept yourself and then do nothing. I'm telling you to accept yourself. First of all, the act of accepting yourself is a doing.
Many viewers said his videos helped them. The channel quickly hit 1 million subscribers. To connect with his audience, Leo made a website also called Actualize.org. The site had a chat room where Leo could share deeper ideas with his followers. Thousands joined, and the chat room quickly became active. Followers interacted with Leo directly. At this point, Leo was no longer just a creator. He was influencing how people thought and acted. Then his message started to change. Leo slowly introduced more radical ideas about self-improvement. He told his followers that every person is God.
You're no longer in a state of consciousness per se. You are literally God. You're in full God mode.
However, most people were not awake, and that was a problem. In his chat room, he repeated this idea of awakening.
Your awakening is incomplete. Your awakening is incomplete.
He told his followers they needed something to fully awaken, and that something was an illegal substance. In September 2016, Leo released a video where he explained that a specific substance was a shortcut to experiencing God.
The magic pill to enlightenment and God.
He gave a brief warning about the risks, but most of the video explained why people should try it anyway.
It's just a technology. That's what it is. And the question is, does this technology work? And the only way you can know is by trying it yourself.
Leo explained how he found the substance. He said he once had health issues that doctors could not cure. He turned to alternative methods. That search led him to psychedelics, which are obviously substances that alter a person's perception of reality. Leo found what he called a magic pill. He claimed it improved his health, and more importantly, it helped him reach enlightenment.
It's higher and higher and higher and higher until finally something cracks in your brain, and then enlightenment is had.
But he didn't stop at sharing his story. He encouraged viewers to try it too. This is where people started to get concerned. The substance he was recommending was classified Schedule 1 in the US, meaning it's considered illegal and highly dangerous.
You can't buy it, you can't sell it, you can't make it, you can't even have it. in your possession.
Some viewers pushed back, but Leo told critics they needed to try it before judging. Remember, Leo had thousands of people in his chat room. Many believed his ideas, and some were willing to take the risk, no matter the consequences. Multiple people reportedly tried the magic pill. For some, it did not end well. Between 2018 and 2022, 3 members of Leo's community allegedly lost their lives. A relative of one victim blamed Leo's teachings. They wrote, all the spiritual jargon and ideas only hurt him and his family in the end. He was better off without it. Another story about the magic pill involved Connor Murphy. Connor was a YouTuber with millions of followers. He was also close to Leo, and Connor began using the substance. Connor uploaded videos where he seemed disconnected from reality. Leo saw what was happening and warned Connor on a live stream.
You're losing touch with consensual reality, and you're behaving in erratic ways, and it's going to cause problems.
It's unclear if Connor stopped, but his case alarmed many fans. Meanwhile, Leo's influence continued to grow. His followers stayed active in the chat room. They discussed his teachings and reinforced each other's beliefs. Leo himself posted over 65,000 times on the chat room. He became the central authority. By this point, outsiders started using a new word for Leo and his followers, a cult. They pointed out several warning signs. Some followers treated Leo's ideas as the absolute truth, and they pushed back against anyone who criticized him, and some reportedly put themselves in seriously risky situations based on his advice. Several YouTubers made videos calling Leo a cult leader. Still, nothing has slowed him down. Today, Leo is still active on YouTube. His forum now has over 34,000 members, and it continues to grow to this day. This next cult was so alarming that viewers tried to rescue one of its members, the Angelic Initiative. Some cults have hundreds of followers, but the Angelic Initiative was called a YouTube cult of 2. It was a mother and her daughter. But what made this case disturbing was not the size. It was what viewers believed was happening behind the camera. The 2 members were Lynn McGonigal and her daughter, Jamie. Lynn, the mother, was the leader. She used to work as an accountant. Then in 1990, her brother passed away. After that, she said something strange happened.
So 3 weeks after he died, I was taking the junk mail to put it in the recycle bin in the laundry. Looked out the window, and he was standing outside the window.
She claimed her brother's ghost visited her at home. For that moment, Lynn believed she could communicate with the deceased. Over time, Lynn claimed more supernatural experiences. She spoke about guardian angels and spirit guides. She said she could help people come into alignment with their soul's life purpose. By 2012, she brought these ideas to YouTube. She created a series called the Angelic Initiative. In every video, Lynn appeared with her daughter, Jamie.
The time for hobbies was so long ago.
That time has come and gone.
They sat side by side in lawn chairs with their arms raised above their heads. They believed they were channeling angels and other spiritual beings.
And so what we do is hold the energy portal, stretch.
Look at his face.
Over time, the mother-daughter channel uploaded over 1,400 videos. Then viewers started noticing problems. Some of Lynn's teachings felt unsettling.
We don't need any more humans. It is not okay for women to have babies and stop contributing to the process.
But the biggest concern was Jamie, the daughter. Viewers felt Lynn had too much influence over her. Instead of living her own life, Jamie was always beside her mother in videos. And she kept agreeing with everything, often repeating the statement,
she looked like she don't have a mind of her
They don't
own.
want
That's
to
just
ask
off
the
her
right
face,
questions,
though.
so they ask
She look
wrong
kinda
questions and therefore get crazy
even trying to
answers. That's true.
Other times, she simply repeated what her mom said.
Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, I see him. I see him also. Hi.
Viewers later found her old social media account. She used to joke around and talk about TV shows. Now, many viewers felt she was a shell of her former self. Eventually, the internet began a campaign to rescue her. The campaign to save Jamie began in 2019. That year, Lynn and Jamie were interviewed by a popular YouTuber named Pay Money Wubby. The interview made people even more concerned for Jamie. One comment called her brainwashed. Another said Jamie's transformation is actually super depressing. And one wrote, I do feel bad for Jamie. She was normal. Brainwashing is strong. The hashtag Save Jamie spread across the comment section. It took 3 years before any update came out. In 2022, the YouTuber who interviewed them posted on Reddit. Jamie from Angelic Initiative is no longer in contact with her mother, but Jamie still held on to some of the beliefs. She said she was still talking about angels and doing these videos on her own now. Jamie even launched Patreon. She needed the Patreon subscription fees to help support her independent life away from the Angelic Initiative. No one knows what caused the split between Jamie and her mom, Lynn. Their two-person YouTube cult is now over, but Jamie's own channel is still up today. The woman in her next chapter built a following by targeting people at their most vulnerable. The Teal Tribe. People went on YouTube searching for help with emotional issues. That's how many of them found Teal Swan's YouTube channel. From the start, she made it clear that she wasn't a regular content creator. She said she had special abilities that helped her understand people's pain.
How do I have all this information? It's because I'm extrasensory. I'm not limited to this dimension or time-space reality.
Her videos had titles like How to Heal the Emotional Body and How to Get Rid of Anxiety. These titles were not chosen by chance. Teal studied what desperate people were searching for online. Then she built her videos around those exact topics.
I specifically try to go for tags and things like that that capture that audience. When you're in a desperate state, it's not sophisticated.
The strategy worked. Her channel grew to over 2 million subscribers, but the channel became more than just videos. Teal built a community beyond YouTube. She called it the Teal Tribe. But unlike on YouTube, advice inside the Teal Tribe was not free. She sold books, courses, and retreats. A single workshop could cost as much as $5,000. But the cost was not the biggest concern. The real issue was what people were being taught. At the center of the tribe's teachings was something called the completion process,
which is Teal's sort of claim to fame for being able to cure any and all childhood traumas, and especially to uncover any repressed childhood traumas that you have forgotten.
Followers were told to revisit their worst childhood memories, not just to remember them, but to relive them. They were told this would lead to healing. Some of her sessions were deeply unsettling.
You make up these fanciful, horrific tales of all sorts of disgusting, disturbing things, and you do it for hours and hours.
People started calling the Teal Tribe a cult, mainly because of their strange practices and devotion to their leader. There were also rumors that some members cut ties with their families. The group became harder to ignore. Then finally, a team of filmmakers stepped in to expose the truth. In 2022, The Deep End was released on Hulu. It was a documentary about what was happening inside the Teal Tribe. It showed that some followers lived with Teal on her compound. These dedicated members were called the Inner Circle. They reportedly worked for her full-time without pay. As the documentary continued, a pattern became clear. Teal demanded complete loyalty. Inner Circle members were expected to be available 24/7 and put Swan first above even their family. They also had to sign a contract called the non-negotiable list. This meant they agreed to follow all of her rules without question.
The priority of the entire community is whatever's in the best interests of Teal. Everything else is second to that. You can't have personal boundaries.
This control extended into their personal lives. According to the documentary, some followers were discouraged from having children. There's a clip where Teal addresses this directly.
I can't be kept awake at 3 o'clock in the morning before an interview by a screaming baby.
All the girls here are on board. We're not having kids.
The documentary sparked strong reactions. Viewers left comments like, Teal is a perfect example of someone who's been drinking too much of their own Kool-Aid for too long. And Teal is a damaged person trying to help other damaged people in disturbing and unethical ways. Despite the backlash, the Teal Tribe is still operating. Teal posts regularly on YouTube, and many people continue to appreciate her content and support her. Our next chapter is about a guru whose followers were so devoted that some kissed his feet. Muji Sangha. Many people who watched this man's YouTube videos called him a living Jesus Christ, and that was the beginning of this cult. In 2007, a spiritual teacher named Muji started a YouTube channel. His videos focused on truth and self-awareness.
Tatsang means to associate with truth, with means do or more.
But people didn't just listen, they began to elevate him. Some called him God Living. His channel grew to over 800,000 subscribers. At the time, his teachings became more intense. Muji taught that the self is an illusion.
We are never, ever, ever going to agree while you are in the state of personhood. This is what is radical.
He told followers to let go of their personal identity. He encouraged them to become nobody.
Don't be anything, don't be anything, don't be nobody. Don't be anybody, don't try to be nobody. You are nobody, you are nothing.
But outsiders felt this message was risky, because once somebody lets go of their identity, they become easier to influence.
So the person trying to be nobody is a dangerous thing. Like meeting nobody people is a dangerous thing. And this is how cult leaders will abuse you you.
However, these warnings didn't slow down the movement. Muji became so influential that he created a world of his own. In 2011, Muji opened what he called a Center for Self-Realization. It was located in the mountains of Portugal. 40 to 60 people lived there full-time, but thousands visited regularly. It was because of this community that people began asking if the group was a cult. The first concern was about how followers seemed to worship Muji. They reportedly bowed to him. Some even kissed his feet. There were also claims that he sold photos of his feet as spiritual items.
As of today, April 5th, he is still selling pictures of his feet on his website.
Then something happened that took things from strange to dangerous. In 2017, 2 of Muji's followers passed away under suspicious circumstances. That moment put the group in the spotlight. Now people had questions. Were members safe? What was really happening inside the retreat? Reporters were determined to get to the bottom of it. In 2019, a journalist published an expose. It was titled Becoming God Inside Muji's Portugal Cult. The reporter interviewed former members, and the allegations were serious.
Multiple reports against him, people coming out saying that he's sleeping with women there, he has multiple different partners.
Others described the environment as controlling. Some said they experienced PTSD from their time there.
People were feeling trapped, bullied, there's a lot of mind control going on.
Muji denied the accusations. He called them an intentional and malicious attack. His loyal followers stood by him. Some defended him in comment sections. One wrote, "I could never possibly express the gratitude that I have for my master in words. It hurts my heart hearing such untrue gossip about him." Others made videos expressing their support.
But my experience is that Sri Muji has always loved me too much to see me as merely a woman.
Despite these allegations, no criminal charges were filed. Today, Muji's YouTube channel is still up, and his community in Portugal still exists. We all want to belong somewhere. That's not a flaw, it's what makes us human. But my friends, a real community doesn't control you. It pushes you to become better. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys watch part 1 of this cult series. I talk about a cult that claimed they cloned a human baby, a leader who taught followers to literally burp out evil spirits, and a cult that poisoned hundreds of
if y'all tell
people.
me to check it out, I'll check it out. I like this video. It did teach me that you can't go everywhere for help. And sometimes being by yourself is cool. You know, maybe sometimes you just need to chill by yourself, and maybe the right people will come to you. Most definitely the right people will come to you. But without further ado, man, I like that video. That's the end of the video. I'll see y'all on the next one. I do this for y'all. Nah, I felt a hiccup. Peace.